So we are here today to have a conversation about the state trial courts. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn this over to Talia in a second. She's going to kick it off for us, but I do want to just recognize some of the council members who've joined us today. We have Council Member Bill Pridemore, who is the chair of the Metro Council budget process, and Council Member Larry Hager, who are in the back. So thank you both for being here. Thank you all for being here. And Talia, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'll turn it right over. The state trial courts hear and decide criminal cases, and they address contested civil litigation. The current budget from Metro for the state trial court is $8.1 million. They have $3.1 million of grants and other resources of $775,000. They currently have 158 budgeted FTEs. Their budget request for FY17 is $226,000. And Judge, I think I'm handing this off to you.
All right. Well,
please introduce who you brought with you.
I will do that. First of all, I want to say good morning.
Good morning,
Mayor Barry, and good morning, Chief Operating Officer Rich Riebling, and Finance Director Talia Lomax O'Neill. We're delighted to be here. Thank you all for having us. I am Joe Binkley, Jr. I am the presiding judge of the 20th Judicial District. There, as you all know, there are 18 state trial judges in the 20th Judicial District. I'm in my 6th year as a presiding judge. I've been a judge for 8 years, but I'm in my 6th year as presiding. To my left is trial court administrator Tim Townsend. Mr. Townsend is 30 years of experience with state government, 10 years of which his first 10 years was primarily with finance. His last 20 years was with the administrative office of the courts, so he's very familiar with court administration. To my right is Joe Werner, the deputy trial court administrator. Joe is a CPA and has many years of experience also in state government and in finance. You want me to just start talking about the areas that we've requested?
Yes, please.
All right. First of all, the top priority for us is the professional liability insurance for the 18 trial judges. That's,
so have you all never had it before, or tell me about it?
Yes, when I was appointed judge and then ran for election and was elected in 2008, that was the first year of the budget cuts, and we've had continuing budget cuts each fiscal year after that until last year, and then there were no cuts requested, but we had been cut basically to the bone. And professional liability insurance was one of the benefits that we had before 2008 for several years. That was one of the first things to be cut in either the first budget cut year or the second. I can't remember. I think it was the first budget cut year. That was one of the first things to go. So we have had that benefit in the past, but as all agencies of the Metro government and those that are supported by the Metro government, like the state trial court judges, we've all had to cut, and we all have been able to live within our cut budgets. But we had gotten to the point where we were going to have to just cut pay for our personnel. Of course. So
you haven't had it for 8 years.
Correct.
What's been the impact of not having it? Why do you need it now?
All right. Well, several of us have purchased our own throughout that time, okay? And the reason that we think it's important to have it for the benefit of the citizens of our community is the following. First of all, there are many more self-represented litigants today than there ever have been. And those self-represented litigants, of course, are not attorneys, and they don't really understand the process. And many times when they lose, if they lose their position in the court that they're in, which they're advocating for themselves, they think that, well, I've lost, so I'll just sue the judge who has made the decision in the case. And that has happened with greater frequency since I've become a judge than ever before in our past. And that's because of so many self-represented litigants.
So since 2008, how many times have you guys been, how many times has that happened?
Well, so there are 18 of us, so I don't know exactly how many that has happened, but how many times that's happened, but I know I've been sued twice. Okay. And the most recent one was 3 weeks ago. Judge Steve Dozier, who's one of our criminal court judges, presided over a jury trial. The jury found the defendant guilty, and Judge Dozier, which is what he's supposed to do, is supposed to sentence the person. He did that. And then after Judge Dozier sentenced the person who was found guilty by a jury, that person sued Judge Dozier and then sued Marsh Nichols, which we're not sure why Marsh Nichols was sued, but she was sued also. I'm not sure why I wasn't sued, because I usually am, since I'm the presiding judge. I'm the first target if after the judge who sentenced somebody or the judge who found against the self-represented litigant. I'm usually next. But if we can, we're all state trial judges, as you all know. Why does the state provide this? It's not budgeted. The legislature is always cutting the administrative office of the court's budget, and that's where we would get our ability to have liability insurance if we had it. It's never been provided for any of the state trial court judges. They just don't have it in their budget and never have. And it's a great benefit for us, and we appreciate all that has been done for us in the past, and we're just asking that it be reinstated for us now.
Well, and Judge, you mentioned, because since you mentioned that you said this would be for the 18 trial court judges, but that would that have include Ms. Nichols?
No. Well, wait a minute. We do have liability insurance for Ms. Nichols. We do.
So she's already got it.
Well, we had it this last fiscal year. Okay. We've had it. Okay, and we're just asking that it be continued. And we had it because we had enough money in our budget to provide for it. It wasn't an extra. We basically didn't fund a particular position.
So you all had
until late.
So did you guys have all the liability insurance last year for the judges?
We did.
Okay, so this is actually, you guys found some money because you found it through a position that was one-time.
It's a one-time deal. Yes, exactly. We're just asking to be continued. Now, let me say one other thing about that. The Attorney General is supposed to represent us if we get sued, because we're state trial court judges. But for instance, if the self-represented litigant says, okay, my lawsuit is based on the fact that this judge acted outside the realm of his or her judicial authority. That's an allegation. Of course, they've got to prove that, and we've had to defend ourselves and say, we were not acting outside our judicial power. We were doing it as a judge. But if we have to hire our own attorney, we'd have to hire that attorney and go, hopefully, we would get out at summary judgment stage, but there's no guarantee of that. But we would be out of pocket for paying for our own attorney if we had to do that. And we shouldn't be at the mercy of the Attorney General who can make that decision to represent us or not represent us. And if the allegation is we're acting outside the scope of our judicial authority, they could say, well, these allegations are bad. They're saying you didn't act in your capacity as a judge, therefore you're not immune, therefore we're not going to represent you. And then we'd have to represent ourselves. So we don't need that pressure on us. What we're trying to do is listen to the facts, determine what the facts are, and apply the law to those facts, and then make a decision. And we shouldn't be having to worry about having to be sued in that process. And if we have liability insurance, that'll remove all that concern and problem that may be in the back of our minds while we're trying to make valid decisions based on the facts and the law.
Okay. Any questions about that, Talia or Rich?
You mentioned that the state won't cover it. Are you aware if any of the other counties are covering covering it for their judges?
Well, you talking about liability insurance?
Yes.
There is none of the other judicial districts have liability insurance.
Okay, so we would be the only ones?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And
You're talking about the state. The state's not covering.
State's not.
Right.
State's not covering.
State's not.
Counties are doing it.
It's possible that the budgets in some of those 95 counties are providing professional liability.
Yeah, that's what I was, that was.
I'm sorry.
Possibly,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
we don't know.
Don't know the answer. Sorry.
Davidson County's covering general sessions judges, so I don't know. Possibly the bigger counties could be covered.
These smaller ones don't cover much.
Yeah, they really don't.
They don't.
You know, they do not. They just don't have the money.
Rich?
Well, I think just sort of typifies the whole issue is, I'm not being critical on what you do. I mean, you guys do a good job, but it's sort of your state trial judges.
Yes.
Right.
Yet
Yes.
Metro has the burden of paying for most of your cost of the operation of your system. I mean, I don't know how much you get from state government. I mean,
How much do you all
I think your salaries may be paid by the state. Am I right on that?
We get a partial salary for one person in our office.
And the rest is picked up by
Metro.
By Metro, yeah.
Yes. And we're very fortunate.
Yeah, no, again, and I'm not saying you abuse of any means. I think you guys run a good department, but it just sort of typifies the fact that your state judges, and they won't pay your liability insurance. It's sort of like general sessions judges. I mean, they're sort of state judges too, although they're sort of local. We have, between the two, we have over $20 million of costs that the city has to bear, which we've done over the last decade. It's grown, obviously, as some things have been cut, but it's just sort of an interesting perspective, I think, about, and Tim, you probably have seen this over the years, because you were in the state for 30 years, that sort of the local share has increased over time, and as the state has sort of flattened out. I mean, is that fair to say?
It is.
The burden is shifted to us.
For the bigger counties, it's
even
the norm is that the big counties support it.
Because our caseload is in your 18th district, which is just Davidson County, right?
No, 20th
district, sorry, yeah.
18 judges. And we dispose of more cases than any judicial district in our state.
And I suspect per capita, per judge-wide, whatever you want to look at it, the money that comes from the state is far less for us than it is for some of the more.
That's right. They may just have one judge that would ride over two counties, and then those counties are trying to figure out who's paying for that judge's rent.
Yeah, just again, just an observation.
And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, very good observation. And you want to talk about the training and continuing education software?
The training and continuing education, it's when we roll back things just like this insurance, this was one thing that we took away from staff members and from judges, and of course over the years you feel like you shortchange your employees because there's so few things we can do, but to help continue to train them, to help them to grow, to help them better understand. We do a great job in Davidson County. You can be proud of your judiciary, and there's things we could learn from other people.
So is this specifically training for judges, or is this specifically training for the 158 or
it would be
so
for both.
FTEs?
It would be for both. We would have to have some kind of program to select a few each year to go to certain programs and rotate that, and if we go to conferences, there's people who need to learn from us. I mean, Davidson County, as I said, we're doing well, and we'd like to share that with some of these folks. And but that's mainly what that is. We, based on the cost of these conferences, will be determined how many we can send each year.
The judges go to the I'm sorry,
go ahead.
judicial conferences things. Is that paid for by, how's that? That's paid for by the state, or is that?
Yes.
Okay, that is paid for.
Sometimes the judges
pay for some.
We pay for our lodging, but the seminars that we attend for continuing legal education are covered by the state.
Metro does not pay for that.
So talk to me about the biggest request here, which is your $165,000 request.
We are in the process of replacing all the court AV and audio visual equipment in the courtrooms. You have 19 of these courtrooms. That's a lot of courtrooms. And we're close to completion. It's been a little bit over a $2 million project. It's taken almost 3 years to get to this point. And they are up and running, and we're trying to work the bugs out of them, and it appears to be a wonderful system to better serve the attorneys. And the attorneys, they are asking for more electronic devices, electronic presentation equipment. And this system not only does that for the public, it allows them to be able to view some of the evidence that's going on in the courtroom. It's got hearing assist for folks who need to place on a device so that they can hear the proceedings in the courts. And it's recording. It has the capability to record sessions, and it's replacing 10-year-old equipment. And this is the cost to keep the software licenses updated, and then the system maintenance. Gives us a 24/7 call center that we can call and ask how to fix something. And it also, most of this equipment is online, so when we have a piece of equipment that's going down, then they pull the IP address up in their call center and can fix things from there. It's a lot like buying a copy machine. You buy it and then you have to pay to use it. But without it, we would...
So we've already made a $2 million investment in the actual equipment.
Right.
And
local money, I might add 4%. Thought I added it.
And I would assume that when we did that 4% request, we knew that we were going to have to pony up for these software licenses and maintenance. This is not a surprise.
Right.
Okay.
It's an uncomfortable number, but it's not a surprise.
Right.
And let me say this about the equipment. It allows us to move our cases along much faster. When we put something on the overhead projector, we have these big screens. The jury can see it very easily. The lawyers have got screens. The witness has got a screen. I've got a screen. It just moves things much faster, and we can try a lot more cases that way.
They used it on my recent jury duty.
Yeah. Maybe you were on a jury.
Talia was on the old system, and they had to take 1 or 2 breaks because it failed. So
it makes it more efficient.
next time we get you, you'll be delighted in the new system.
Yeah.
There you go.
How many courtrooms have you done? You got a few more to go?
We have about 14 completed. 14 to 15 completed.
How many? 18?
18. Yeah, and then we have one.
It's 19.
It's actually 19.
Well, we have one visiting courtroom, 18 judges, and if we have enough
So
to
that's
get into
one that we could potentially...
Co-opt for other courtroom?
Not prepared to answer that at this time.
That's the right answer.
I wrote that down because I got to ask that question.
You got to get it in.
Yeah,
That was the right answer. So we have an extra courtroom. Who knew?
I just...
Wrong building.
I think we've had a good morning.
Absolutely. Solved a lot of problems.
And I checked.
That extra courtroom was used.
No, don't worry.
And I looked at Channel 3 when right at the end of the juvenile court, and I think I heard Mr. Riebling say, "This is where dreams come true."
Well, I was referring to...
Disneyland.
Somebody's going to Disney.
I thought it was here today. So.
It was not a reflection on today.
We appreciate you making time. We appreciate the conversation.
Listen a little more carefully next time.
Thank you so much, y'all. We appreciate it.
Great seeing all of y'all.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.